Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Some Forever, Some for Better podcast, where we discuss information and how it's changed throughout the years based on Encyclopedia Britannica from 1980, 1877, and Wikipedia. I'm Stan.
And I'm Pickle Stan.
You're not Pickle Stan.
Pickle Stan.
We are actually broadcasting from a pickle party right now. That's getting a little bit noisy because there's a pickle party going on.
It'd be really noisy. Oh, and you know how after last week you told me, hey, Hal, this week do not slam your fist accidentally into the microphone. The second you started talking, that's what I did. I'm just trying to fix the thing. So now you're going to hear like a pop, 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 pop. No,
there will be
matter, though, because you're going to hear me munching pickles, and regular Stan will be munching pickles, and Pickle Stan will be munching pickles.
And there are also pickle pills, and the pickle pills has a pickle in it. So while you're drinking, you may be having like a little bit of a pickle. We may have to get up occasionally to go get pickle food. There's just a giant pickle party we're celebrating.
So many pickles. Stan loves pickles. It's his favorite thing.
So let's talk about today's topics.
Okay, pickles?
No, it's not pickles because we do it randomly.
Spicy pickles?
Nope, that's
hey,
not
I have a
for today.
I have a question.
What's your question, Hal?
How many deviled eggs is too many for me to take?
Oh, no, I had one because I was not being greedy.
Okay, well, what if I want 7?
You might be a little greedy going 7.
Okay, well, what if all of you take 1 and I eat them all?
Oh, wow, there's 7 of us here. That would actually work.
This is not 7 people. Can you counting?
No.
Okay, what are we talking about today besides pickles?
Okay, from 1877, we are discussing astronomy.
Again?
Yes, we're going to go into more of the technical aspects or the state-of-the-art astronomy during the different eras. From 1980, we're going to talk about the physiographic effect of humans. And from Wikipedia, we are discussing Gloucester docks. And since I'm in charge right now, Hal.
Can you hear me munching these peanuts? They're pickle-flavored peanuts.
No, but we can hear you talking with your mouth full with the pickle-flavored peanuts.
Wonderful.
Our first topic is going to go with Wikipedia, Gloucester docks. And I hadn't heard of Gloucester docks before. And I looked it up in a very small entry in Wikipedia, but Gloucester docks is a historical environment, I guess. It's like a Greenfield Village or like a historic Williamsburg. So it's really something that's been restored. And the Gloucester docks have been restored from the Victorian era. So Victorian era was 1877. So that's actually when these docks were actually being used, and they were restored from that.
It's very cool. Now, can you aesthetically describe Gloucester docks? Where is it, and what does it look like?
They're Victoria era buildings, whatever that means. I saw some pictures. They're like, red brick buildings.
Is there a dock?
There are some docks there. It's
wonderful.
I don't think they're used anymore. So I went back in 1877 to look up what I could find out about the Gloucester docks, and it was in use. So it was telling me like how much tons of imports and exports they had. So they had 428,000 tons of imports, and they had 51,000 tons of exports.
Kind of sounds like us until all these tariffs hit, and then we're not going to be able to buy or sell anything. And our economy's a fucking joke.
By the time you listen to this, the tariffs will probably have hit.
Everybody should invest in a tricycle right now, because you ain't going to be able to afford to drive.
That could be true. So back in 1877, there was 3,762 British ships that docked, and there were 549 foreign ships. It doesn't say what country they're from, but foreign ships that docked there. So that's when this thing was in use.
You know, I really like foreign ships. They're my favorite kind of ships, is the foreign ones. Yeah. I just want to say, Stan, this entire podcast is just me trying to scam my way under the Conan O'Brien podcast. And one time, I'm pretty sure Conan O'Brien just loudly ate a sandwich into the microphone and made his producer sad. Do you think I should do that? Would that be funny?
Well, see, Conan O'Brien actually has people who know how to edit the podcast and take out the sound of him eating.
No, they left that in. They left it very intentionally.
It would definitely be left
in
here.
We all had to listen to just Conan's mouth sounds as he consumed a sandwich. And I think
could happen today.
That bit, that's what we need to push ours.
That could happen. It won't be a sandwich.
Gloucester docks to maybe like a place that anybody has heard of.
So I'll go a couple things on Gloucester Docks just because it's a topic. Is said Gloucester Docks by itself is just historical village or historical things. You can go there.
That last week's teaching stand to pronounce things paid off.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm going to bring that up as well because
No, don't bring it up.
Gloucester is in the
Gloucester.
Shire of Gloucestershire.
Oh my God, shut up.
Yes, it is. Gloucestershire.
Isn't it Gloucestershire?
Is it? Gloucestershire?
Yeah, Gloucestershire.
Okay, Gloucestershire.
Just pronounce everything like whoa.
Well, here's the thing.
Just to pronounce everything like you got a pickle in your throat.
There was a aircraft company there called Gloucestershire Aircraft Company. And in the 1920s, they had to change it to Gloucester, Gloster, because people couldn't figure out how to spell it because it was like Gloucestershire.
Because we're all dumb.
No, it was hard. It's hard.
Or-
There are some things that are hard.
Or you could just be smarter. You could just read more books. Hey, you remember how I showed you how to pronounce .com?
Yeah.
And it changed your life forever?
I mean, the fact I've never used it since you told me about it.
Okay. So here, I want to play something for you. Can you hear that?
Yes, barely.
Gloucestershire. So, and I told you that this website you can like upvote or downvote
Yeah.
different pronunciations.
Downvote that one.
There's
Downvote
three
it.
pronunciations for Gloucestershire.
That's better.
The first one has 9 thumbs up. The second one has 1 thumbs down, and the third one has 164 thumbs down. And I think that's the one you made.
So what first we made for that?
Oh, because that's like an AI voice thing.
It is.
Here, and
It sounded very AI.
everybody in the United Kingdom got super offended and downvoted. All 164 people.
Pay
And-
attention to that
And
website you're talking about.
Oh, right.
So the actual Gloucester Docks, I mean, a lot of England is like real ancient. Like people will talk about, like I have a house that was built in 800, so you'll hear things like that. But
So
this is
it's
fairly recent.
very drafty and there's no plumbing.
Yes, exactly, and it has thatch. But this is like fairly recent. So the docks weren't even created until 1827 when they made the canal or large enough where they could actually get through the Severn River. So it's fairly recent. And then they built a canal to connect like the Severn to the Thames. And by the time this 1877 came around, that wasn't even used anymore because they had replaced it with the Great Western Railway. So it's just a rapid change going from like, wow, we got this dock to like, wow, now we got this canal to, wow, we have railways.
So it's just immediately obsolete.
So yeah, and in 1980, if you look this up in 1980, it barely mentions it because the things were in disrepair at the time. It's like this was no longer a major city. It was in economic decline, and it had just started to become a touristy thing. And Gloucester Docks by themselves were not even the restoration didn't happen until after 1980. So this thing did not even make the 1980 encyclopedia.
So the only encyclopedia that remembers it at all is Wiki.
So Wiki has Wiki, it wasn't even created as an entity that is today until the 1980s. So 1980 wouldn't have it. 1877 it was still active, it's still in use. They talk about like the actual business aspect of it, but now it's just a tourist attraction, and that region in the 1980 encyclopedia, that whole region, which is the south west region of London, which does include Stonehenge. It says it's mostly like touristy now, but it is in 1980. It said it was economically depressed, and
I'm economically depressed right now.
but by the 2000s, it is Wikipedia today says it's the fastest growing region in London.
Is that because nobody can afford to live in London, so they just go out to wherever?
Most likely because London's very, very expensive, and this isn't that far away from London.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some pretty interesting things about the area.
Sorry, I just accidentally replayed the bad pronunciation for Gloucestershire. Oh, man.
This guy wasn't from Gloucester, but I'm going to bring him up because he's our first like anti-manslaughter guy. He actually saved lives unintentionally. Well, maybe intentionally.
That's not on brand at all.
Dr. Edward Jenner is from like not just south of Gloucester, and Edward Jenner is the one who came up with the initial smallpox vaccine.
Oh,
So he
how about
created the
that?
vaccine. So he was a good guy.
Vaccine for a very deadly illness that we're about to bring back.
Could bring back.
Yeah, we kind of already brought it back.
Yes.
No, because, vaccines make you artistic. So
I don't think artistic was the word they were degrading. I think there was other words that were in there. Pickle stuff looks good.
Oh, man. Hey, I won't let you keep talking. I'm going to go and get more pickle stuff.
So I'm going to bring up a couple things.
Mm-hmm.
There's so this is a touristy area in Gloucester. There's other touristy areas too. Gloucester Abbey is a tourist area. So Gloucester Abbey, and in Gloucester Abbey, King Edward II was buried there.
Mm.
Do you know who King Edward II is?
Yeah, I knew him personally. I called him Teddy.
Do you know how I know who he is?
Because he was your roommate in college?
No, not exactly.
Okay.
He was represented in Braveheart.
I've seen about, I want to say 4 minutes of Braveheart.
Okay.
And,
you don't remember it?
well, no, I remember it. I remember that Mel Gibson really.
He was not Mel Gibson.
No, it was Mel Gibson. No, but Mel Gibson it's Mel Gibson movie, right? That's the one with Mel Gibson.
Yes, it was,
Mel
yes.
Gibson plays Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson plays Mel Gibson.
I don't really give a shit about Mel Gibson, but I do like Jason Isaacs. He seems like a very nice man.
So the main antagonist of Mel Gibson in Braveheart was Edward I, Edward Longshanks. So Edward II was Edward Longshanks' son.
Was Longshanks your name too?
He was his 14th child, but was the heir.
That's disgusting. Don't have 14 kids. That's gross.
They said he may have had 16. They're not sure.
That's disgusting-er.
But
Stop it.
He was the only male heir to outlive his father. So he was the 14th kid, the only male that outlived his father, and all the other females didn't count because they were females.
Because as before, as today, women aren't people. That's why they don't have any rights.
They had fewer rights back then. Yeah.
I mean,
he did. Okay, just to be fair, Edward II was married. And there's another thing about
10 times?
Well, the issue with him was that, and he was portrayed in the Braveheart movie as being homosexual. And he has like...
It makes me like him a lot more.
And so he was like, his dad supposedly didn't like him in the movie. I don't know how much that came into play. It made a big deal about it in the movie. But he did get married to the King of France's daughter when she was 12.
Gross. It's a good thing he was gay in Braveheart.
He did have kids, or she had kids at least that were supposedly his. They ended up having a falling out though.
This is like Stan really wants the reality TV show, but he hates reality TV. And he won't watch like Love is Blind, so he's just making one up right here.
He's like, Love is Blind now.
I'm sickened, Stan.
So his wife, and didn't say, I don't know the exact time, but she ended up going back to France to visit and never came back. And then they had fights and they had battles. And eventually Edward II was defeated and he was imprisoned in Berkeley Castle.
Was that a nice castle?
And, it was a nice castle, but he was in prison there. So it wasn't sure how well he was treated. And he did die at some point. And if you remember Braveheart, and you remember like any reading about it, he died by having a hot poker shoved up his butthole.
That's how I want to go.
A hot poker shoved up the butthole.
Is that what a hemorrhoid feels like?
I don't know, maybe.
That's
So that's always been the thing about how he's supposed. I don't think anybody really knows how he dies, but that's what it was. Anyway, he's buried in Gloucester Abbey, which is another tourist attraction. And I said, I'm only going to bring up things that I find interesting. I thought that was interesting, talking about Gloucester docks, is that you got this King Edward and a story of him from Braveheart. King Edward II of Braveheart.
Hey, okay. So after this, we are going to write, you, me, and AI are going to write a sequel to Braveheart called Braveheart 2.
What's going to happen with the buttholes in Braveheart 2?
Just all of them going to get both. We're going to bring back the whole cast except for Mel Gibson, who will be replaced by Jodie Foster. And also won't be in the movie. So, all right.
So
How about that?
a couple of things I looked up when I was looking up like Edward II, look up Edward Longshanks. They had the genealogy, and this was weird too because Edward Longshanks had a niece called Margaret of Scotland. Margaret of Scotland. She was a queen of Norway.
Mm-hmm.
She had a daughter called Margaret, Maid of Norway, and she was a queen of Scotland.
That
That was messed up back then. How do you do that?
Stan.
Of what? Of what? I want to be of something.
Stan of pickle. You are king of beer, but I, Stan of beer, am king of pickle.
Exactly.
I think I got that mixed up, actually. See how confusing that is? That's
exactly. It's like you can't do that. No, you shouldn't do stuff like that.
People.
And I will bring up one other thing. Gloucester was founded by the Romans, so it's a really ancient city, founded in like 48.
48?
And I looked up the demographics of Gloucester.
You were still middle-aged back then.
Gloucester is 84.9% white.
84.9, that's literally better than Livingston County. God, I hate this place.
And
I like Oakland. I like this place.
The region, the southwest region of London of England was 93.1% white. So Gloucester has more cosmopolitan area. And for reference, I looked up London. London is 53.8% white.
London's a pretty good city, huh?
But it's weird because they had the history of it. And in 1961, London, which is now 53% white, was 97.7% white. So all that growth.
They had to Brexit, but it's too late.
All that growth has come out ever since, since 1961, which kind of surprised me a little bit.
Well, they were 96% white. Then they went down to 50% white. Their economy got better and their country got better. And then they Brexited, and everybody I know who lives there was real mad about it because now the pound is worthless.
It's not worthless, but it's like, there's economic issues, and it just surprised me that there's that much of a change in population over, a 50-year period or 60-year period, whatever that is. So that was I thought was interesting.
Excellent. What kind of pickles are over there now? That's not an answer. Pickles?
Do you need to take a break and get some food?
No.
Okay.
Why don't you talk about whatever you're going to talk about next, and I'll be right here the entire time.
Make some decisions? All right. I'm going to switch over from Gloucester docks into the 1877 topic, which is astronomy.
Perfect. Since we talked about that last week. Give the 30-second... Hold on. Give the 30-second... Go!
All right. So in 1877 Encyclopedia Britannica, the things I thought was interesting in reading the Encyclopedia Britannica from like 1877 was how it kind of described Copernican astronomy. So it would start talking about how if you looked at the night sky and you could see at different periods of time, you would see the stars move. They could notice patterns, and the patterns would move as they went across the sky. And they started describing the celestial sphere. And then they start talking about, the earth, the moon, how it fits into play, and the sun. And all these things are natural things that people can observe. And they talked about all the calculations for figuring out what that was. And then they talked about like different planes, like if you look at Ptolemaic type of astronomy, and then eventually how everything fits into like the orbits of the planets in the solar system. And I thought that was interesting, kind of leading up to figuring all this stuff out based on what you can see and then what you can measure and then what we know at that time about the solar system. And it's really kind of similar to what we have today.
Hey, Stan.
Yeah?
I'm back. I got one cracker because I panicked.
Did you get another deviled egg?
No, can I?
Yes.
See ya.
So at that time frame, they didn't know what the sun was made out of. Well, they knew what it was made out of. They could see the elements, but they didn't know about fusion, nuclear fusion. So they thought there was like fires. It was just a giant explosion or fires in the sky. They knew there was dark spots. They weren't sure what the dark spots were. They thought maybe the dark spots were mountains, or maybe the dark spots were some kind of like cloud that they were seeing. And I knew the I can never say it. I said the last time. Spectroscopy?
Spectroscopy.
Yeah, spectroscopy was around at that time frame, and I knew that's how they discovered helium. Helium is not mentioned in 1877, and I looked it up, and in 1868, they could see there was an unknown element in the sun, and they named it helium after the sun, but they didn't know what it was. They didn't actually discover helium until the 1880s, the actual element helium.
Just remember, you can remember the word by, just remember the phrase, Stan, I'm going to stab you in the spectroscopy.
I can never say that. Looked it up, I can read it. I'm reading it. It comes off spectroscopy.
Spectroscopy.
Yes, I just can't say that one.
Well, deviled eggs are my favorite eggs.
There's a lot of different kinds of eggs.
Yeah, I know, but deviled eggs are my favorite.
Deviled eggs are pretty good. I do like
so
deviled
good.
eggs. Yes. They're very, very dilly today with all the pickle stuff going on, too.
Big fan. Big fan. All right, then you need some, like, star puns or something?
No, I think we're okay here. And this one, just in 1877, just the stuff that we know about 1877, we just kind of, like, consider it to be just normal. We can't, because of our education, we can't think of it being anything different. It's just, we just know that, like, without, if you by yourself personally just observe the sun or the stars or the moon, then you might come up with your own theories. Now, we know this stuff because other people that are smarter than us have gone out and figured some of this stuff out, and they just tell us, and then it just makes sense to us. But at the time, they were still figuring this stuff out. One of the things I looked up was ether. I'm not going to talk about ether because ether could be a subject in itself. But at that time, they were still trying to figure out the nature of light, nature of electromagnetism. And one of the writers was actually developed his own experiment. One of the writers in encyclopedia said, like, well, I didn't like the experiment they did, so I devised my own experiment to show, like, how, the properties of light. I thought that was cool that the actual guy writing the encyclopedia knew enough that he could create an experiment. And these are famous experiments we see today about, like, using a prism and changing the angle of light to get, like, interference or...
Speaking of light experiments and prisms and stuff, did you ever do that thing as a kid with the magnifying glass where you burned the ants? And if so, do you feel bad about it now?
If I did that, I would feel bad about that.
Okay.
Yes. But I wouldn't do that.
I was a loser in high school, went to school with a bunch of other losers, and one of my fellow losers had a very spectacular plastic prism thing. It wasn't just like it wasn't like the Pink Floyd one, right? It was bigger. It had a lot more sides. It was like the D20 of prisms. And he held it up in the sun, and it refracted light everywhere and burned a bunch of little holes in his clothes. So that's the experiment that we stupid ass kids did in high school. Was we just burnt holes and shit using magnifying glasses and prisms.
And the thing is today you could actually write in Wikipedia.
I can add my loser friends experiment. An inadvertent self-harming experiment to Wikipedia.
I'm saying in 1877 or 1980, that experiment would not get you to be able to be a writer in Encyclopedia Britannica. In today's world,
I don't know, because there's a lot of bullshit in Encyclopedia Britannica. Remember how an entire section was just falsehoods?
Well, a lot of things in the encyclopedia are not necessarily falsehoods. They're falsehoods we know today, but they were actually running experiments trying to figure things out. So
I'm talking about the whole myth-making thing. Hey, do you want to listen to me eat this egg? Why are you so mad about that? Jesus Christ.
Do we have a choice?
Yeah. All right, I'm going to eat this egg while you talk. Go.
Well, we can edit that out maybe later on.
Yeah, you edit it out. You edit the hell.
So if you get into 1980, just the stuff in astronomy had changed so much. And this is where it went incredible from, like, learning so much more during that 100-year period based on what was known in 1877. I mean, obviously, like, Einstein came after 1877, so his theory of relativity wasn't around at that time frame. So that's something that had been discovered. As far as, like, telescopes, we've all heard of Edwin Hubble, and he's the one that determined that the universe was bigger than the galaxy. So at the time, they thought the galaxy was the entirety of it, and they knew that stars were the same as sun, but they didn't really know about fusion. By this time, they knew about fusion, so they now had, like, multiple types of stars. So You had red giants. You had white dwarfs. You had nebula, neutron stars.
Do you have a favorite star?
I don't. The sun, I guess, you have a favorite one because it gives us life.
Oh, what a childish answer. I'm proud of you. You're so young on the inside.
What is your favorite star? Do you have one?
Yeah, I've got a few favorite stars.
Really?
Yeah. I like I mean you gotta like Sirius. It's the brightest star.
The dog star?
What?
Sirius is the dog star.
I thought you said the Death Star.
Oh no, the dog star. Dog.
I don't call it the dog star.
Who doesn't?
I've never heard that.
Okay. All right.
Okay, well,
I'll show you the dog
you
star.
ruined that. You ruined everything. Thanks.
Sorry.
I have more eggs.
Give other people a chance first.
I have waited
You're not the
20
only person
minutes.
here.
All right.
So by 1980, we had sent probes to Venus. We had sent probes to Mars. We'd landed probes on Mars.
And we had sent probes to your ass.
Uranus.
Shut up, Stan. I said what I said. Stop trying to kidify it.
In 1979, Voyager was almost at Jupiter. So Voyager, if you remember Voyager from the Star Trek movies.
Okay, helpful.
That was our deep space probe. In 1877, we only had 8 planets because Pluto hadn't been discovered.
Well, now we also only have 8
In
planets.
1980, there's 9 planets because Pluto was discovered. And Uranus was known about for a long time by men. Women had just discovered it recently.
Stan, you really should leave the humor to me. All right. You should just never attempt to be funny again.
That's the one that puts you over the edge?
I like how you pronounce Pluto, though. Pluto. I actually like that. Pluto.
And back then, it was still in 1980, it was still considered a planet. It was the 9th planet. Neptune.
I remember because my middle and high school's textbooks are from 1980 because we had no money. Like the city had a ton of money, but nobody paid any fucking taxes. So while I was surrounded by rich white kids, our textbooks were from 1980, and there were swastikas carved in all the desks. It was real fucking great for me, Stan.
Sorry. 1980 for me, that would have been like, wow, that's futuristic.
I'm aware.
So by 1980, they knew the life of the sun, expected life of the sun to be 10 billion years. They knew based on the amount of hydrogen in the sun.
How old is it now?
I think right now,
Earth was like 4.6 billion.
Yeah, billion. The Earth is like 4.6 billion. Sun's a little bit longer than that. It said the lifetime is I think this one said 10 billion more years. I don't know if that's exactly right because it was 1980. I didn't look it up. I just looked at what they said in 1980, and they said the lifetime based on the known amount of hydrogen.
Well, I think that the remaining lifetime of the sun is 4 years. 4 years. And then we all get to just quit this shit.
And a person like this...
Nice. Doesn't it sound nice to just take a nap?
A person like this could make entries into Wikipedia. I'm just saying.
I can't hear you over the sound of pickles.
The pickles are good. I'm going to go back and have drinking my pickle beer here. So in 1980, they knew about pulsars. They knew about quasars. They suspected what the sources were. They knew that they would see pulsars in supernova. And some of this stuff is just amazing when you think about the size of it and the distance of it. The Crab Nebula was a supernova explosion in 10,000 or in like 1,000. So it's like over 1,000 years old. And if you look at it, through a telescope, it looks static, right? It just looks like it's just sitting there. But it's been exploding and shooting stuff out for like 1,000 years.
Let me make a name drop free advertisement from our sponsor, Colorverse. They are a Korean ink making company that really likes space and shit.
Okay.
So they actually have an entire line of space based on the nebulas.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is. I have a bottle of ink called Butterfly Nebula, It's really pretty. They make it, it's like a sparkly ink, so they make it so that in the light it shows all the colors of the nebula. I think that nebulae themselves don't have color, but we
Colorize them,
color
yeah.
images, right?
Yeah.
So there's Horsehead Nebula, there's Crab Nebula, all of these inks are named after nebulae. They have I have one named after like a satellite, I think, the Hayabusa. Yeah, it's really cool. So our sponsor this week is Colorverse Inks.
Perfect.
They've never heard of Stan, but they will. And when they hear this podcast, they're gonna be like, "Oh shit, what a cool!"
That's pretty dope, Neil.
We should send Hal a free bottle of ink every month. Yeah, check them out.
Cool deal.
God, I love space. What's your favorite nebula?
I don't really know a lot of nebulas.
Do you like the Cat's Eye Nebula?
Oh my God! You say how many nebulas are there?
There's a lot of nebulae.
Yeah, there are a lot. Well, there's like 200 million to 2 trillion galaxies. Well, not stars, just individual galaxies. So each galaxy has like hundreds of millions of stars. So the number of things is just something you can't imagine, and we haven't seen everything yet. But this is like in the time frame from 1877 to 1980, they really had changed our view of the universe. They knew the universe was expanding. They knew that I think they were just learning about it and accelerating, but that stuff was all new. They were learning about these sources of energy.
Like is expanding with all these pickles I just ate.
It's Uranus.
Nobody loves me.
You're being a sad girl today.
You're a sad girl. Stan, why are you such a hater? Stan, you're the biggest hater.
I can't apologize for that. No, I can't.
Impose some tariffs, you hater.
I don't have that skill to do that.
Fucking hater. Complete your sentence, God.
I do remember when I was a kid, I saw a artist rendition of what Mars would look like. And then when I actually saw the pictures from Mars, it was like, well, that doesn't look like the artist. And I thought like the artist was right. How could the artist be wrong? Because the artist pictures were much cooler than just like dusty, barren landscape that was coming.
The artist just drew fucking Dune, and you were like, yeah, that's it.
Well, even in 1877 was before Percival Lowell and the canals of Mars. And so this is things that, we know it's a dead planet. Back then, they were thinking like, oh, my God, it's a planet like us. It just might be undiscovered yet. So they really thought there would be like humanoids living there that could be there, or Venus and stuff. By 1980, we knew all that stuff wasn't true.
Well, I mean, we live in a simulation, so all we got to do is edit a few lines of code and boom, humans on Mars. Or we could just wait until a bunch of dumpy, bitch-ass white guys go to Mars, and then boom, technically there will be humans on Mars, but none of us will be happy about it.
I like the movie The Martian. That was pretty cool.
Was that with Matt Damon?
Yeah, the Matt Damon Martian. That was good, yeah.
Okay.
It was like he had Martianized himself.
I wonder what Matt Damon is up to right now.
He's not here. I know
I wonder
that.
if he's making more movies set in China.
Maybe. Is there a 10% tariff on his movies?
Yeah, there's a 10% and climbing tariff on all Matt Damon movies now. Sad.
So now, like, I'm going to look at some of the stuff that's happened since 1980. Some of the stuff was they was theorized, they were discovered. We're still learning about it. The quasars. So quasars were known, just massive amounts of energy. And quasars are now known to be the accretion disks of a black hole.
Say that again.
Accretion.
Accretion.
Yeah. ACCRETION.
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 Oh, wait. Spell that again.
ACCRETION.
ACCRETION?
Yes.
Pronunciation.com doesn't have that.
Oh, it's a real word.
Be a real word.
It's a real word. And that's when like planets or stars or anything gets sucked into a black hole. Sucked into a black hole. A supermassive black hole.
Supermassive black hole.
Yeah. They're at the center of the galaxy. Now we know that the center of most galaxies is a supermassive black hole. But they're not all active because just because there's a giant black hole at the center doesn't mean it's actively accreting things right then.
You can't. Well, what does the UK say?
I don't know what the UK says.
It's like exactly the same. If I search the word accretion, I get the Cambridge Dictionary. I bumped the microphone again. I get the Cambridge Dictionary in Spanish.
What?
Yeah, I fucked up my phone. I don't know what I did.
I think that's a you issue there.
Spanish.
I don't think that's a normal thing. I think you did something with your phone, personally.
Yeah, I thought it would help me learn Spanish, and all it has done is make me very confused all the time. Put my phone in Spanish. Anyway, accretion.
So in 1922 is when the Big Bang Theory was theorized.
Okay, I just want you to know that I'm going to be inserting the word accretion into as many sentences as I can from now on. It's my word of the week.
Just because I used it once?
Just because that's how you learn new words.
Pickle party.
Pickle.
The background radiation that kind of confirmed the black hole was discovered in 1968. And if you're old and have old TVs that you have like just dead time or you had just static, that is representation of the microwave background radiation that was originated when the Big Bang happened.
Accreción.
And there's things we don't know about that. We know that the expansion is accelerating. It's getting faster and faster. Now we believe that it'll keep on expanding forever. It won't get to the point where gravity overtakes it and pulls it back in. Those are the things that we believe now.
I thought everything was expanding faster and faster because there's so much more fucking hot air on this planet. All these windbags just saying their opinions, their dumb, stupid, wrong opinions. Boom! Just fucking inflating gas bags everywhere.
But this is more science where whatever you say, you have to develop an experiment to prove that it's right or prove that it's wrong. The experiment doesn't fail. You either prove that the thing was right or prove that it was wrong.
How do you prove that your experiment was just bad?
You document what you're going to prove and how you're going to do it and how that shows what you believe. So the science behind everything is going to be solid if you're using science. Science. And in the 1980s or 1990s, they started theorizing about dark matter and dark energy. And that accounts for some things in the universe. This could be something that eventually goes away as something that maybe there's a different proof of it, because every once in a while, whenever you try to do something and start making complicated things and exceptions, sometimes it's wrong. You need a better theory. So now, dark energy.
I have a theory. I have a theory that every screenwriter who writes for the Marvel Cinematic Universe gets all of their science information from our podcast.
So I'm going to bring that up because, the universe was like, was unknown until like the 1920s, 1930s as being other galaxies. And now, of course, we have the possibility of multiple universes.
Spider-Man and Spider-Pig.
It's
John Mulaney plays Spider-Pig. He didn't know it was a PG-13 movie when he recorded his first takes. And he was like, so we can't use any of this because I said fuck too much.
So some of the multiverse things theorize infinite numbers of universes. And so in an infinite number of universes, everything that happened here could happen slightly different in that universe.
So there's a universe where the Stan doesn't have a mullet.
These are theorized. These are theorized.
So yeah.
There's other theories as well.
Is there a universe in which Stan doesn't like pickles?
No.
Nah, I don't think so.
A lot of the things multiverse is like overplayed right now, and every single Marvel and movie is done really well and everything everywhere all at once. Some of the other cooler ideas about a multiverse.
It's a rock.
There's cool things about the multiple universes. For example, a universe could form with different properties. And the reason that we can have a podcast where we're discussing this is because the properties were just right for us to be able to have planets and stars and intelligent life. Whereas other universes, you may not have that. You may not ever be able to have stars or planets or anything.
Yep.
And there's also theories that inside of every black hole is a universe. And that
reminds me of Whose Line Is It Anyway? When they were doing their like little ending rap song. And the song was about, oh no, we're approaching a black hole.
You'll always approach a black hole. That's the rest of your life. The rest of your anything will be you approaching the black hole.
The rest of my youth?
The point you enter the black hole, that'll be eternity for you, because time will basically stop. And that's all you'll know, is it just like, well, you'll see somebody might see you like start spreading out over the black hole, but you yourself will stop experiencing time.
Cool. I don't know what to do with that information, so why don't you introduce us to our next topic?
Well, before we go there, I got to talk about a couple other things, because in 1877, we just used visible things. We started doing spectroscopy. I hope that never shows up in a podcast again.
Next week's topics are spectroscopy, stoichiometry, and a third word that Stan can't pronounce.
But now we have infrared and ultraviolet and radio and X-ray and gamma ray, so we see different aspects of the universe, and it helps us learn more about like age of stars and their processes and what they're made of. And in 1877, it was just astronomy. In 1980, it was astronomy and astrophysics, because it was like understanding that the stars were the same and understanding how they operated. And then now we're into things like astrochemistry, because we're learning about different elements. We have exoplanets now. Back in 1980, there was only known planets were the ones that orbited our sun. Now we have thousands of them that we've discovered in the universe.
What's your favorite planet? And
Earth.
Earth.
I got it before you can say don't.
Why do you like Earth so much?
Because that's where I am.
Wow. What a very narcissistic American response. It's like,
what's your favorite planet? What's your favorite universe?
Favorite universe is probably the one where podcasts weren't invented, so that we can just be drunk by now. It's after 1 p.m. Can you believe we're still sober?
No, we're already. What is it? What time is it?
It's after 1 p.m. It's
after 2 p.m.
It's after 3 p.m. But typically, you and I are both wasted by now.
By now, exactly.
I had to keep half a brain on me so that my vocabulary is still partway accessible.
Hey, last topic before we go.
Okay.
Have you ever heard the Fermi paradox?
The what?
Fermi paradox.
Fermi.
No, Fermi. Not Fermi. The Enrico Fermi paradox. You ever heard of that?
Enrico?
No.
Great name.
So the Fermi paradox.
Fermi?
Is Fermi. F-E-R-M-I. Fermi.
Okay, well, I thought you said Furby, and those things go like, they're so fucking creepy. If you throw them in the closet, they're still alive and watching you. Sleepy.
So Enrico Fermi was a famous scientist. He worked on the Manhattan Project.
Oh, just like.
And because we talked about having like 200 billion to 2 trillion universes, all with millions of stars. And so the thing was, he did an equation and said, if there's this many stars, there's got to be this many planets. There's got to be, if all these things are out there, there's got to be so many, Earth-like planets. Then where is everyone? How come we haven't seen it?
That's a very fair question, but the answer is that we all are in a simulation. We live in the Matrix, and everything is hell.
Or it could be because everything is just so far away that the practical means of getting from one planet to another are very difficult.
I think that.
How long would it take Elon Musk to get to Mars?
It would probably only take him like 11 days to get to Mars, but he does have to go through several thousand exploding rockets because as a billionaire, he's too good to pay for safety measures for his pilots. And so we just got to go through like 11 billion exploding ships, preferably manned, so that there's a cost to human life. And then he can deny the grieving families their insurance or their recompense for their exploded son, father, wife, daughter, whatever. So yeah, he has to do some apartheid-y stuff before he can get to Mars. 11 days plus like 49 years.
Hey, what's the closest star other than the sun?
The sun.
What's the closest one other than the sun?
The sun.
No, it's not.
Sol.
I think it's like Proxima Centauri. It's like 4 light years away. So if you could make something that could travel the speed of light, it would take you 4 years to get there. So if you think of that's the closest thing, everything else is more immense distances. It's probably just the fact that it's so hard to get one place unless you do something fancy like a wormhole.
Well, or it could be, and I'm going to just speak against human hubris here. I don't think that we need to be going billions of miles out into the universe to go and fuck up the rest of space. We already fucked up our own planet. We're clearly too stupid and irresponsible to take care of anything. We should probably just stay on our rock and die and leave the alien worlds to the aliens who might do a better job.
That was one of the things that Stephen Hawking was afraid of, because he said we shouldn't keep saying we're here, because what if the alien populations would fuck us up? They say, look what we've done.
For the last 8 years, I have wanted nothing more than the extraterrestrial hostile populations to come and fuck us up. All right, we are a bad species, and best case scenario, we finally get our shit together, stop blowing each other up for profit, and unite to take down an alien threat. Worst case scenario is actually the best case scenario. We just go extinct, and we all get to take a long nap. Doesn't that sound nice?
I think
I'm tired.
I think the one before was basically the plot of Independence Day. Which was a great movie.
I didn't see
Bill
that.
Pullman gave the speech at the end.
I didn't watch it.
We will fight. No, what was his speech? He did a good speech. I can't remember what it was.
Oh, I just want Mass Effect to be real. God, that was a good game. Hey, Mass Effect 2. What a great fucking video game. You know, actually, I'm just going to go play Mass Effect 2. I don't want to...
Hey, you can't. We got to talk about our 1980 topic. We've covered Wikipedia. We've covered 1877.
Topic, Mass Effect?
No, our 1980 topic is the impact of humans on physiography.
Oh, bad? I'm going to guess bad. Spoiler alert.
This is really, we're not really saying good or bad. We know there's probably some things that are bad. But if we look at how information has changed, this does not even come up in 1877 at all. And that's because at that time, they thought that everything was, all the resources were endless. There was nothing that would say how would we'd ever use up something, even though at the time the dodo had gone extinct. We'd seen that go extinct. During that time frame, it was near the end of the passenger pigeon. Passenger pigeon was almost a direct effect of.
I love the passenger pigeon, and I'm really upset that we don't use them anymore. Is there a reason why we can't or won't use pigeons? Look, okay.
You're thinking the messenger pigeon. The passenger pigeon's the ones that's extinct. They're extinct now.
Oh, it's not the pigeon that carries your letters across.
No.
Man. Okay, can we
extinct.
talk about messenger pigeons instead? Because I like those. Look, when the USPS gets murdered by a certain fucking idiot, we're gonna need a way to send mail around. I think we bring back the fucking messenger pigeon. Whatever pigeons. What do we get? The pigeons from John Wick. We just bring them here. Deliver my mail.
I remember the pigeons. I remember the dog. Killed the dog.
Fucking Lawrence Fishburne was in John Wick because he and Neo are friends in real life.
Okay, that makes sense.
And he's just some weird guy on a roof who raises pigeons, which is really what I want to be.
Yeah.
Just a crazy pigeon guy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But now there's bird flu, and we're not going to do anything about it, so I don't think I can achieve my dream.
Trying to do things about it.
I don't think I can't achieve my dream. Sad. Holy shit. The score just changed a lot.
So in 1877
or something,
the most people said resources were endless. Things like no concept of overfishing. Pollution was just starting to become a term. Pollution, the term had been around for a while, but pollution, the way we think of it, like industrial pollution, that was just starting to come to be in common use. So it did not exist at that time frame. The most common thing about diseases was they thought they were caused by miasma, the bad air, which is probably not necessarily.
It is possible
inaccurate.
That everybody is going to create some bad air today after all the pickles that they ate.
But that's what they thought. They thought because of this fetid area people would live in, and the most the most common form of pollution at the time was horse manure.
Gross.
Because horses were just up and down the street. They didn't have sewage systems in a lot of places. So waste would just be tossed out in the streets. So one of the most common things in any city was just this gross waste smell of human and horse manure.
I'm pretty sure that's how Mount Brighton came to be. It's like a ski hill,
Yes.
but it's literally just a hill.
But
Yeah.
but at that time, that's what they just thought that obviously created a very, very bad smelling air. And so they thought the bad smelling air is what caused disease.
I mean,
not the fact that
probably
it's all
there's
the
a lot of
germs in
bacteria
there.
and all that shit
Yes.
just lying around.
It's all the germs in there. And they didn't really know that much about that. So sanitation was more to prevent the miasma rather than to get the germs away. But it wasn't until the 1850s or 60s that most cities started putting in sewerage systems to move the waste away. So I looked that up a little bit, trying to find out something in that. The temperature rise due to global warming was just starting in 1877. It really wasn't noticeable at that time. I couldn't find any articles on miasma, germ theory, or pollution in 1877. None of those topics were enough to be in Encyclopedia Britannica, or at least I couldn't find out how to find out what they might have been called at the time. So one thing I did find out was the father of modern epidemiology.
Okay.
And it was John Snow.
His name was John Snow.
It was John Snow. I was like, nothing, John Snow.
What a timely reference. Love it.
I'll still throw my Game of Thrones references out there. I got to still throw them out there. If something comes up like that. John Snow.
All I know is that there's a whole episode that you had to pay for that you couldn't see. And then the directors called us all fucking morons because we couldn't see it. It's like,
that was weird. The last episode, really, really difficult to see. I agree.
God, that was just man, those guys really wanted to go make Star Wars, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah, it's noisy in here.
So I'll go ahead and move up to 1980, talk about what happened there, because that's the physiographic effect. We don't really use the term physiographic anymore. It's physical geography. So we're looking at anything that affects things on a large term scale. And in 1877, they didn't realize the impact that man had on a lot of things. And just to give an idea, I'm going to go ahead to Wikipedia now.
I thought we did Wikipedia.
No, the Wikipedia entry for the physiograph or the human impact on the environment. And the reason I'm coming up is because this isn't all the things that are affecting humans, but the different subtopics you can look up: global warming, ocean acidification, environmental degradation, mass extinction, ecological collapse, overshoot, which is population overconsumption, carbon footprint,
that's just
mining, fracking, plastics, pharmaceutical, light pollution.
Stan, you're just naming buzzwords off of the resume of humankind.
That's what exactly what it is.
This is the curriculum vitae of humankind.
In 1877,
over fracking, pollution.
But they didn't know these things in 1877. They didn't know the humans had such a big impact. Now, all these things are separate topics, things they worry about. But back then, it was like nothing in 1877 because we didn't realize all these resources were limited, or how a small impact from every person.
You know what, Stan?
Giant impact on the world.
You know what?
What's that?
Bring it on. Bring on the end of our species. End of the world. I'm here for it. We'll make a Matt Damon movie about it.
And even in 1980, it talks about the human impact. The first human impact, they say, was burning fires to clear prairie land. So a lot of the prairie land was created by burning fires to destroy the woodland so the prairie would grow. There's things that believe that the megafauna in the Americas, they went extinct about the time that the humans first crossed into the Americas. So they happened at about the same time. They were concomitant. They don't necessarily have a causation. So there was a correlation, but maybe not a causation. But there are people that suspect that maybe that's why the big megafauna in the Americas, the woolly mammoths, the giant rhinoceros, those types of things went extinct. Horses went extinct in America. So all those things had gone extinct about the time man came into the Americas. So that's 10,000 years ago that we may have had an impact on the environment.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've been fucking things up forever. It is so hard to hear you. So that's okay. Dylan, just keep going. I'm just going to pick up every third word.
That's fine.
Yeah.
The next thing they talked about was agriculture, and how now with agriculture, there's all kinds of like irrigation canals. There's the terrace farming that they've done. All the landscape has been transformed by farming. Yeah. Where you go in the middle America, all you see is farmland and farmland and farmland. At one point, that used to be a forest or a prairie or something like that.
Yeah, I actually read. I mean, you've read Dr. Sapolsky's books.
Yeah,
and you've read the chapter about how agriculture has basically been the most harmful thing to human society ever. Because not only because of the environmental impact that you just mentioned, where there used to be like beautiful lush forests and stuff, and if you were hungry, you would just go and find food, and if you were tired, you would just sleep where you were. No, the problem with agriculture is that it basically invented capitalism because it created the concept of scarcity and put, the means of production in someone's hands. So it is the invention of poverty that started with agriculture. Sad.
I mean, it does feed a lot of people. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah, but you used to be able to just eat when you found food. Now you have to like go and ask for permission. Be like, can I have an avocado? And they'll be like, no, tariffs. Avocado, $14 for a small rotten one. And you go, oh, okay. So I'm fucking starving now, Stan. That's why I got to come to pickle parties and eat all the free pickles. Can I go get more eggs?
Do you want another deviled egg?
I want all the free food because you know what I'm going to eat for the next 4 weeks? Nothing. You know why? Tariffs. Fucking bullshit. You used to be able to just go into the woods, find some berries.
Now they tariffed them.
Now they tariff
the wood gnomes would tariff them. You knew that. The wood gnomes.
Stan, stop trying to be funny. What is this game that
in the 1980s? They talk about direct and indirect effect of human impact. So direct is the obvious things we know about. Like you build a dam, obviously you're affecting things. You build a farm, you're obviously affecting things. Artificial land, like in 1980. The coast of the Netherlands was 53 miles farther into the ocean than what it was before they started putting all the dams in the
Trash Island that's just floating in the ocean because all the garbage in there. Is that artificial land?
I don't think it's land, but it is artificial. It is trash.
God damn.
And in 1980, they didn't have all the artificial lands that like Dubai has created to make a map of the world or a map of like palms. They didn't have all the islands that China's creating to expand their ownership of the ocean. All those things weren't there. And now we know enough about creating things like that we can do it on a larger scale. Indirect effects. And these are the things when you do something, you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, like silt building up on a dam, like changing the floodplains of a river by putting up levees and things.
Going down to the bottom of the ocean and sucking up all these little rocks because they're supposed to be eternal batteries and destroying the ocean environment, like stuff like that.
And then like there's lands that sink, like because we mine things from them or take water from them, the land starts sinking. There's sinkholes. I mean, obviously Florida has a lot of sinkholes that they have. So those things are things that they are indirect effects. And then of course, air pollution, climate change. So they're just discussing greenhouse gases back then. At that time in 1980, they said like the amount of carbon dioxide is increasing. And I remember a study. There's a Congress would always give, or I'm a congressman of the Watchdogs group would always say like give out an award to the stupidest study that somebody had funded.
Oh yeah.
And one of those studies was they're studying the amount of methane that's being released from cows, and they're making fun of it. Well, now we know that that's a huge amount of, because of the number of cows we have on, that we farm, that the amount of methane they release through a lot of their actions is enormous, and it does contribute to greenhouse gases. But
yep,
then they made fun of them.
That is why we should turn all those cows into steak, turn all those cows into beef right now. Just full stop.
Full stop.
Full stop. Turn them into back the
Bring back the Aurochs so we have something that like has a fighting chance.
Yeah.
So in Wikipedia, this is more modern. I looked at some of the things like the anthropogenic effect. So mankind's effect on the environment was coined by Alexei Pavlov. Have you heard of Alexei Pavlov?
Yes.
How have you heard of him?
The dogs.
No, it's not him. It's a different person.
I know.
But that's the first thing I did was look it up and see.
I know. You were giving me this like shit-eating grin, like you were really fishing for it.
He's not related to him.
Not even a little bit.
No.
Is he related to the Pavlova?
Yes. No. Yeah.
Oh.
But there was like I looked him up, and this is where it gets weird. Like it's Alexie, and then you look it up, and it's go Alexy, and then it's like in the article.
I'm talking about how to spell Alexi. That's just romanization of a Cyrillic language, and that's not their fault.
And there were 3 Alexei Pavlovs. There's this guy that came up with the anthropogenic effect on the environment, and the other 2 were heroes of the Soviet Union. That's what their job title was. Hero of the Soviet Union.
You know, that's I whenever people ask me what's my dream job, I say, fuck you. That's a stupid question. I don't want to work ever. But I think I have a dream job now, and it's hero of the Soviet Union. Have you seen the propaganda posters from like the Cold War era where the Soviet Union and China were trying to portray themselves as allies in communism? And it's just these posters of like a Soviet guy and a Chinese guy doing all kinds of like wonderful communist things together, and it just looks like the story of a beautiful interracial gay couple that like met at a liturgical or at a metallurgical, and then had like a beautiful family and a farm.
Is that like in the Harold and Kumar go to Guantanamo Bay? And they go, oh no!
Why do you have to like take it someplace completely different? Why are you gonna do that? I'm watching rug ball.
Because in that movie, they go like, one of the guys says, "Oh no,
okay,
the Cubans, which I assume that's Kumar, and the North Koreans, which I assume that's like no,
okay, you just took something really beautiful and made it stupid. I'm gonna watch football. Foot rug. What even is this? What is this? It's like. It's rugby, but with NFL players. They're not wearing helmets.
It's flag football.
Oh, it's flag football. Okay,
yeah.
I wasn't sure what I was seeing.
No, it's just like football.
Goff was playing, and I was real confused. And then every time they score, they get to jump into a pit of foam blocks.
Probably. We'll see what happens. Is nobody wants to get hurt playing an exhibition game. So the original Pro Bowl was they would suit up. And
so you just have those things hanging out of their butts?
Yeah, he's saying those things are the flag. That gives them a tackle. So that's what it is. So they don't really hit each other. They just try to grab the flags.
So it's a game of grab ass.
Yes, game of grab ass, if you will.
All right, I like it. I'm here for it. And you can actually see what they all look like because they're not wearing helmets.
Yes.
Beautiful. All right.
So things now like climate change is now accepted. The questions are, what do we need to do about it? Can we do anything about it?
Absolutely. Well, nothing. Make it worse. Accelerate it. So that
you can't celebrate it. You got to make it better. And we're doing a lot of things.
We are accelerating it. In America, we believe in climate change is gay, and we're gonna do everything we can to make it worse. To make it better by making it worse.
I think a lot of Americans don't want that. I think a lot of Americans want to do something about climate change.
No, they don't.
I think there are people who...
We say we really care, but we're also unwilling to lift a finger to do anything about it.
Yeah.
Or change anything at all. I'm like, we all are like that. I just am willing to admit it and not lie about it. Don't care. Sweet nap time. Sweet permanent dirt nap.
But we do talk about things like your carbon footprint now.
That's not real.
But people do.
It's real. It was invented by the petrol companies to put the onus for climate change on the individual instead of giant corporations doing logistics from fucking Vietnam to Canada on these barges. Amazon is worse for the environment with like one barge load than all the cars in America for like an entire year. So don't let them fool you. You're also not owning the libs by driving a gas guzzler. Fucking idiots.
A lot of the things are done at scale. Like the individual people can make a difference, but a lot of the things that causes the issues are those scale things. And so you look at like energy companies.
Oh, did you know?
Wind farms, solar farms.
Did you know that like the energy cost to make one reusable bag like one reusable grocery bags, like 49 fucking not reusable grocery bags. It's like so expensive. No, it's like way worse than that. I don't remember the exact number, so I don't want to misquote it and exaggerate it, but it's like really bad.
Yeah, it's
So you have to use the reusable bag 400 times before it actually is better for the environment than just using the plastic.
Yeah, you got to watch those things because sometimes people try to say that because they want to promote they want to promote not having to do that.
No.
So whenever you see that, you got to really look at the sources and what the actual details are,
That's
how they came up with it.
Anything we call science or anything we call a study in this country, which is the problem, everything is for sale.
And there is a lot of propaganda that companies will pay for because they want to sound like, well, the thing that's good is just as bad as the thing that's bad. Now, in some instances, they are fairly equal. In some instances, it's better. In some instances,
keep in mind is that until we're willing to leash the corporations, absolutely nothing matters. And since we're never going to fucking vote for that in America, we're never going to hold corporations accountable. It's just never going to get better.
I think we will. I think we will start holding corporations.
We just need a few more of this guy. A few more of this guy.
So you look back at 1877, which was known as the Gilded Age. And that's when a lot of the, what we call the robber barons were basically accumulating wealth at the expense of everyone else.
I mean,
when
they
you
never
started,
stop.
That's when you started having the people fight back. You had progressives. You had like your Teddy Roosevelt who would like try to disband corporations.
Yeah, and we're never going to get another Teddy.
You had your Karl Marx who was going around saying like this, the world would be better if we put the means of production into the people who are actually, producing it instead of just having a few people.
All these novel ideas, and then we just kill all those guys, and they don't come back.
And then there was a backlash in the 80s, which is what our next topic was, which went away from all those things. And now you're at the point where you have people who are very similar to the robber barons and the amount of inequality and wealth, and maybe things will change. Maybe like the people who are getting screwed over will start changing or finding better ways to operate. There are better ways to operate. We know there's better ways to operate.
You should listen to the song Robber Baron by Aurelio Voltaire. This week's sponsor, Aurelio Voltaire. Voltaire is a Gothic singer. He's really cool. He has like live concerts and stuff. I've been to like 4 of them. They just kind of happen in like those smallish bar music halls. It's always a good time. He will not sponsor this podcast because I do a bad job, but he
sponsor podcast.
Saw me. Probably recognize me. I'd like to apologize for the last time.
But it is, I mean, just some of the things that you see that are different is like from 1877, we didn't even recognize that humans could have an impact. And so everything was just, waste and use and just get rid of, right? And even people didn't that much back then because they didn't have the ability to spend as much as they do now. So you bought furniture, it would expect it to last for generations, as opposed to now you buy clothes and you expect it to last a season.
Yeah, everything is bad. And that leads me to this question. We're kind of in a hole. We're kind of in a hole right now because this is a very depressing subject because it's very real. I'm having trouble making this funny, Stan. So you gotta throw a softball my way and just tell me something that I don't already know, because I already know that we're fucked and that everything's fucked. And if you try to tell me we're not fucked after everything else we just said, I'm gonna call you a fucking liar. We're not gonna ban you to Mars.
So we're not fucked.
We are fucked.
And one thing we can see that is because now we have all these things that we know cause problems. We know we do cause problems.
And we decide to let them get worse for the billionaire's sake.
It's
bang, bang, bang.
It's not. I mean, if you look at like the 70s when you would drive down the street and every factory is spewing black smoke, particulates, you don't see that anymore. So people know there's things. And actually, the Environmental Protection Act was done under Nixon.
We got rid of that.
It was done under Richard Nixon, a Republican.
He just wanted us to think he was not a crook. He was like a distraction.
There are things, and in the old days, environmental protection was something that the Republicans, the right wing, liked because it was good for business, and they had enough time they could think about things like that. And right now, it seems like they don't understand the impact you can have on business by denigrating a lot of these things. So you have like ozone depletion. ozone depletion is a lot better than what it was. We've banned things that cause ozone depletion. Overfishing. We've banned fishing in a lot of places to make it better. So I think there's ways that we're getting better. We can get better. But yeah, it's not just going to go away. We have to do things about it. Yeah.
What are you going to do starting today to make the environment better?
Well, some things like I buy the green energy. I buy energy that's from like renewable resources instead of just buying whatever from the coal resources. So you pay extra for that, but it's a decision you make, right?
Okay. So I have 2 answers and a varying funniness and truth. Which one would you like? The funny but untrue one or the true but less funny one?
You can give me both. We have time.
Okay. Well, I was going to say that once a day, I like to fill up a gallon milk jug, like an empty gallon milk jug with petrol from the BP down the street, and then go and just dump it in a lake or a pond or in the snow, like on a person. I'm going to stop doing that every day. Maybe like once a week. That's how I'm going to help. And then the actual truth is that I can't afford fucking anything, so I'm just like going to not eat, and not eating means less methane, right? So I'm going to produce less methane by eating fucking nothing for the next 4 weeks. Thanks for the pickles, guys. Love you.
Remind me we need to put a warning on this episode.
About pickles? Some people do find pickles offensive.
All right.
You tried to dress like Pickle Rick.
I did try to dress like Pickle Rick. I didn't have a lab
sleeve shirts because you hate long sleeves.
No, I had a long sleeve shirt, but it was like I didn't have a lab coat, so I threw on a white shirt. Close enough to Pickle Rick.
Okay.
Yes. Hal, it's been interesting talking to you today.
It has been, especially since I'm learning so much about flag football. This is so confusing. This is probably the dumbest thing I've ever seen, but I really like it. So I'm gonna let myself be distracted by this and forget about all that stuff we talked about.
Perfect. That's what we need is distraction.
So flag football. Go Lions. Oh wait, sad.
So Hal, next episodes we already looked at them. The numbers from last week. I didn't like what we're going to talk about, but we already did that. So for this episode, I think we just have to look up Wikipedia. I'll pull that one up.
Okay. I am making elevator music for when Stan needs some elevator music so he can look up stuff on his phone.
Topics. Picture of the day. The news on this day. Random article. Philip Schmid. We're going to talk about Philip Schmid, who is a German alpine ski racer.
Why do we just keep getting like random white guys?
I don't know. It's just like, it's whatever shows up, and Wikipedia has all kinds of stuff. So that's what it is. All right.
All right. Hey, Stan.
Yeah?
Looks like there's still some pickle stuff over there.
I'm going to get some pickle stuff.
Yeah, some pickle stuff. All right. Well, cheers, buddy. Cheers with our pickled beer.
I got to get beer too.
Okay. Good night, Australia. Yeah.